Welcome to Mastering Public Health. In this episode, we explore Chapter 7: Stress, Emotional Well-being, and Mental Health. Mental health is a foundational determinant of productivity, resilience, economic stability, and overall quality of life. Rates of anxiety, depression, and suicide remain high across all age groups, and these conditions affect millions of adults and youth. Depression is now one of the leading causes of disability worldwide. Stress levels have reached historic highs. More than 70% of Americans report experiencing significant stress, with especially high rates among younger generations. Emotional health refers to the ability to attend to emotional needs and manage everyday challenges effectively. Enhancing emotional well-being is a critical goal in health promotion and public health practice. Learning objectives. By the end of this chapter, you should be able to first describe the nature and prevalence of stress, emotional well-being, and mental health problems in the population. Second, explain the physiology of stress, including the autonomic nervous system, endocrine system, immune system, and the general adaptation syndrome. Third, distinguish between eustress and distress and describe the optimal zone of stress for performance. Fourth, summarize major models linking life events, trauma, and illness, including the social readjustment rating scale and adverse childhood experiences. Fifth, identify and explain core coping strategies for stress management, including mindfulness, breathing, movement, and expressive activities. Six, discuss how workplaces and communities contribute to mental health and describe key approaches for organizational and community level mental health promotion. Seventh, explain the social determinants of mental health and how factors such as poverty, discrimination, and aging shape risk and access to care. Eighth, describe how stress presents across the lifespan, including among children, college students, and individuals living in a digital world. Section 1: The Nature of Stress and Mental Health. The term stress was introduced by Hans Selye in 1936 to describe the body's physiological and psychological response to demand. Today, stress is universal. Modern stressors include financial pressure, work expectations, academic demands, digital overload, and social comparison. Mental health influences productivity and academic success, resilience and problem solving, economic stability and earnings, physical health and chronic disease risk. When emotional needs are unmet or mental illness is untreated, well being declines sharply. Section 2: Stress Physiology and the Stress Illness Connection. The fight or flight response. Walter Cannon described the fight or flight response in 1914. This is the body's immediate survival reaction to a perceived threat. It involves activation of the autonomic nervous system and the endocrine system. Autonomic nervous system, ANS. The sympathetic system triggers arousal, increasing heart rate, blood pressure, respiration, and alertness. The parasympathetic system promotes rest and recovery through the relaxation response. Endocrine system. Adrenal glands release adrenaline and cortisol, mobilizing energy to handle the stressor. Immune system. Short-term stress enhances immune activity, but chronic stress suppresses it, increasing susceptibility to infection and illness. These processes are shown in figures 7.1 and 7.2. Eustress, distress, and the optimal stress zone. Not all stress is harmful. Eustress motivates action and enhances performance. Distress overwhelms the body's coping systems, impairing health. The Yerkes-Dodson law shows that performance improves with moderate stress, but declines when stress becomes too high. The zone of optimal stress represents this balance. Figure 7.4: General Adaptation Syndrome, GAS. Selle's general adaptation syndrome describes the predictable physical response to a stressor. First alarm, fight or flight activation. Second resistance, body attempts to cope. Third exhaustion, prolonged stress depletes resources, increasing risk of disease. Life stress, trauma, and illness. Social readjustment rating scale. Holmes and Rah assigned life change units, LCUs, to major life events, both positive and negative, to estimate risk of illness. Higher LCU scores predict increased health breakdown. Figure 7.5: Adverse Childhood Experiences, ACEs. ACEs are traumatic events before age 18, including abuse, neglect, and household dysfunction. High ACE scores are associated with changes in brain development, increased risk of chronic disease, mental illness, and substance use in adulthood. Figure 7.6. ACEs represent one of the strongest predictors of lifelong health challenges. Section 3. Coping and stress management techniques. A central principle of coping is that perception defines stress. It is not the event itself, but how it is interpreted. The prefrontal cortex plays a key role in regulating the stress response. Four major coping opportunities are shown in Figure 7.7. First is be mindful perception. Mindfulness, meditation, and spirituality build awareness and accurate interpretation of stressors. Second, breathe. Physiological calming. Deep breathing, visualization, and grounding activate the parasympathetic nervous system, reducing cortisol release. Third, move metabolism. Physical activity metabolizes stress hormones and reduces neural activation associated with anxiety and the stress response. Fourth, express yourself, resilience. Creative expression, music, art, journaling helps process long term stress and build resilience. These strategies support long term emotional well being. Section 4. Organizational and community mental health. Stress at work. Workplace stress is widespread. 25% of adults report job stress as their top stressor. Stress contributes to billions of dollars annually in lost productivity and healthcare costs. Demand control model, figure 7.8. High job demands plus low control is highest stress. Control is often more predictive of stress than workload. Worksite stress management includes improving physical environments, noise, lighting, addressing psychosocial risks, harassment, discrimination, clear communication, and consistent expectations from supervisors, programs to build coping capacity and emotional well being, mental health in communities. Mental health disorders are common, yet many adults never receive treatment. Up to optimal service mix, figure 7.9. Most mental health support should occur through self care, informal community care, primary care. Only a small portion requires specialist services. Prevention versus treatment. Promotion efforts include support groups, resilience training, and community education. Treatment focuses on systematic interventions for diagnosable disorders. COVID-19 impact. The pandemic increased stress, anxiety, depression, and loneliness, especially among single adults, parents, and frontline workers. It also amplified access barriers for mental health services. Social determinants of mental health, SDMH. Mental health is shaped by structural conditions: poverty, homelessness, racism and discrimination, LGBTQ stigma. Limited access to culturally competent care, older adults face higher risk of depression, anxiety, and cognitive decline, including Alzheimer's disease. These disparities require multi level interventions and strong community support. Section 5. Stress across the lifespan. Stress in children. Children have limited emotional vocabulary and difficulty contextualizing events. Stress symptoms include irritability, sadness, headaches, stomach pain, and regression. Long term stress weakens immunity and increases risk of depression. Stressors range from routine events to traumatic experiences. Stress among college students. Nearly 88% of students report academic stress. Top stressors include exams, financial concerns, workload, and grades. Figure 7.10. Many students cope through unhealthy behaviors such as overeating or substance use, and few engage with campus mental health resources. Stress in a digital world. Digital stress is now a dominant source of anxiety. Key stressors include availability pressure, approval anxiety, fear of missing out FOMO. Connection overload. Constant connectivity blurs boundaries between rest and stimulation, making stress harder to manage. So, concluding, stress and emotional health influence every dimension of life. Physiological responses, coping strategies, workplace conditions, community supports, and social determinants all shape mental well being. Health promotion professionals must address stress at individual, organizational, and policy levels to build resilient, mentally healthy communities. Educational video based on Introduction to Health Promotion Second Edition. Chapter 7. All rights to the original text belong to the author and publisher. Produced by Mastering Public Health.